A new stat shows that Cole Caufield is top 10 in the NHL in shot creation in 5v5, ranking even higher than Connor McDavid. We'll be breaking down why he's in the top 10, plus another Nick Suzuki statistic to compound on what we talked about yesterday. He is one of the most aggressive penalty killers in the NHL, and it's really been paying off for him, so stick around for all that info on this edition of Habs Digest. Jesse, the first thing we want to get into, Cole Caufield. I mean, we just talked yesterday about how Nick Suzuki and Kirby Dach are both top 25 playmakers in the NHL, and if you haven't watched that video, I suggest doing it now, probably before you watch this, because it'll put a lot of this stuff into context, but take a look at this. From JFresh, again, shout out to JFresh, just some amazing, amazing stuff there. But who were the top 5v5 shot creators in 2022-23? So, I'll get into a bit more how they calculate this after, but take a look at number 7. It's Cole Caufield. His shooting score per 60 minutes is 1.39, even ahead of the likes of someone like Jack Hughes, William Nylander, Connor McDavid, Tage Thompson. These guys all around him, it's insane. He's one of the best shot creators in the NHL, and so this is also finishing neutral. So the fact that Caufield scores a lot of goals isn't even taken into account here. It's all about his positioning, his ability to get to these spots where typically in the NHL people score from, and his ability to be open for passes in these high danger areas. So I think this really goes well with what we talked about yesterday, Jesse, with Nick Suzuki and Kirby Dach being amazing playmakers at making those high danger passes. But the fact that Caufield himself is not only creating with the puck on his own, but also knows how to get exactly to the spots he needs to get to is really insane.
Exactly. He really knows how to find these pockets, and he scored at every single level of hockey. And what I love about this is he's really at the cream of the crop, like with the NHL. When you're looking at this list, like a lot of people still think that these smaller guys can't play, but this list is really proving it. And by the way, he is ahead of Alex DeBrincat, on this list, so just when you see these stats, you got to feel like, this is also the, some of like the best goal scorers in the NHL. Like these statistics translate very much to goals, so it's so amazing to see that he's ahead of McDavid, he's ahead of Tavares, he's ahead of Nylander. And, while still being a very young guy, while still being younger than all these players. So you have to deal with all the time he's putting in the gym, like, it's going to be the gun show next year. He's going to be sniping goalies left, right, and center all over the ice as he just gains that experience. Another league in the NHL, just kind of growing some more. So for me, this is like really exciting and very promising statistics.
Yeah, it really is, because another thing too, right? People talk about, Cole Caufield scores a lot on the power play. Nick Suzuki feeds it to him. Habs didn't have the best power play, but he did. This is 5-on-5 only. And yes, I understand to some extent that Nick Suzuki and Kirby Dach are helping him out and get this high ranking, and you might think, well, he's receiving passes from those guys. Of course, they're making these amazing passes to Cole Caufield in these high danger areas, but they go hand in hand, right? You can't have one without the other. You can't have Caufield being in the top 7 in the NHL in shot creation without Nick Suzuki and Dach making those passes. But Dach and Suzuki aren't going to be in those areas if there's not someone who's able to get to that high danger spot. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone has the hockey sense. Not everyone has the mobility, the speed to get to these areas, to be available for these passes either. And not only that, it's not just receiving passes. It's shot creation too. It's ability to get there with the puck on his stick. Now, Jesse, you think, okay, well, let's say it is just Nick Suzuki and Kirby Dach. Just a quick reminder that Connor McDavid plays with Leon Draisaitl, and he is at number 10. So it's not just, it's a product of Suzuki and Dach. He is not in a league of his own, but he's up there with the elite goal scorers in the NHL. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I think this is really, really promising for him to have 40-45 goal seasons over the next few years. What do you think about that?
Well, I think so. And I think what would really help the chances of that happening is, again, having Dach and Suzuki feed him. Because we're seeing from these statistics that Kirby and Suzuki are so good at getting the puck, in these high danger chances. And Cole Caufield is one of the best at receiving these type of chances as well, and creating them on his own. So it really seems like a match made in heaven. And again, having that chemistry. So, we're going to have to be very careful about how we kind of plan things out this season, Habs management, because, there's a lot of temptation to kind of put that all together. They're just going to see, okay, do we want to spread out this talent kind of over 2 lines? Because Kirby Dach is starting to look like he's going to be a very effective NHL player. Or does these statistics just further kind of go to show that we need to keep all these players together because their skill sets very much go perfectly together?
Yeah, there's gonna be some experimentation, but we saw some proof last year that Kirby Dach, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caufield's an elite line. We'll probably see some more proof this year. And look, if they work together the way we think they will, I don't think you can split them up. The only other thing I wanted to talk about today, Jesse, is Nick Suzuki. We're doubling down. Nick Suzuki yesterday. We just talked about Nick Suzuki in the Cole Caufield section, but we have a new stat that we just saw from an article yesterday from Marc Dumont. He takes the stats from Twitter, and here's a graphic showing Nick Suzuki among some of the more aggressive penalty killers in the NHL. This is a graphic of how many zone entries with a minimum of 150 minutes of time on ice of 5v5. So players who actually play a lot in the NHL, right? Otherwise there might be some outliers, but this is entries into the opposing team zone shorthanded, and you can see Nick Suzuki there tied with guys like Yakov Trent and Brock McGinn, Sam Lafferty, guys who are quite aggressive and decent penalty killers, and just behind guys like Barkov, right? Kerfoot, Sebastian Aho, and the amount of times that he's able to enter the other team's offensive zone. And look right below him, Lostarina and Anton Lundell, two very prominent penalty killers. So what this says to me, Jesse, is that even on a team like the Habs, who didn't maybe have the best penalty kill, who didn't always create as many offensive chances as we wanted them to, even on the penalty kill, we know Nick Suzuki is not a negative. He's very clearly a positive when you watch him on the ice, and the stats will back that up. But not only is he able to, hold his own in the defensive zone, his ability to be smart, pick off passes when he needs to, and enter that offensive zone is, it's just unparalleled on the team.
Right, and I really love this because it's the key to having a successful penalty kill, just in general, is being aggressive but knowing when to do it. As we know, today's NHL is just such a game of speed, right? So unless you're able to kind of close down time and space for this very skilled offensive competition, you're going to be finding the puck in the back of your net, more often than not, right? So this is paramount, where not only does Nick Suzuki provide so much for us in terms of leadership and offensive capabilities, but that also, transcends as well to the penalty kill, which is amazing to be able to have this threat that you really need to respect, every time, because we know once he gets on these breakaways, kind of shorthanded as he's prone to do, he can really, really finish them. So I think this is so amazing. I think this is going to be so key if we can just really translate this as a philosophy to the rest of the players on this unit. We know all the best teams in the NHL have an aggressive penalty kill. Every time you just really can't get around it. But obviously you need players like Nick Suzuki who are just so intelligent, who know when to do this, right? You got to know when to press, when to take your chances, which isn't, the easiest thing to do. It's really an art, so it's so nice to see that he's really mastered this skill, and obviously it's translating to, such great things for the Habs.
Yeah, and a stat that I think you mentioned to me just before the show, high danger chances shorthanded. Someone else on the Habs is better than Connor McDavid in a certain category, and that's Nick Suzuki. More high-danger chances shorthanded than McDavid. I mean, he knows what to do. I mean, we saw him on these breakaways, these penalty shots. Year after year, he is performing insanely well. I mean, his shootout stats this year for a while were just absolutely absurd. So Nick Suzuki knows what to do when he gets on these breaks, and he gets some of the most breakaways shorthanded of anyone in the NHL. It's an amazing combination because we talk about how even strength, he is an absolute killer giving these passes to Caufield. The only thing we're missing now is the power play stats, and the only reason we haven't shown them is because I haven't seen them yet. And I'm sure if you look at power play stats, yeah, there's going to be lots of good tandems, but Suzuki and Caufield have got to be up there as well. So the combination of offense and defense and just ability to break other teams down with leadership, couldn't ask for a better captain, really, and this top line is going to be something exciting. That'll do it for this news edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 7,000 subscribers. We really appreciate all the support. I'm Josh Gosse for my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.